Hi, I'm Colin, and this is Nathan Lawter's game, and I'm going to be going over what I changed in it, and what the game is. To start, just the game as itself. You come in here, the countdown timer goes, and then you use your WASD keys to go ahead and light the fire, and then you win. We have to do it before the timer is up, and yeah, that's essentially the base of that game. Things that I changed to optimize this game. This background, I stretched it out a little bit, and I fixed the collisions on it. Prior, it didn't fit the whole camera, so there was the Unity blank space, empty space behind it that you could see. Um, Also, on the player, I added some more mass, and I added some linear and angular drag. Because prior, here I can just show you what it's like, how it was before. Prior, the character moved around way too erratically. Yeah. I don't believe it was at. I believe it was like 0.2 or something. Um, I was at before, but the player moved around way too fast, as you can see, and it was hard to get to the log. But change that back to how I had it. Also, if we come into the code, I commented out a few different things. It seemed like there was a score system that was supposed to be in place, but it wasn't working when I got the game. So I had to comment out just a couple things that weren't necessarily working in the game, and that was just adding more onto the engine when it wasn't even part of the game. One thing that I did as well, if I can find it, is yes, here it is. I commented out the match flame, the particle system, to load on the delayed start, because prior, the particle system around the match, it would load after this countdown was done, and there was about a half second to a second delay where you were playing the game, and the particle system wasn't even showing before it finally popped up. So to alleviate, real-time loading of that, I load it at the very start instead of after the delayed start. If I can find where I put that. Yes, right here. I put it in start, took it out of the delayed start. I realized there was no exit for this game, so I added just a quick and easy, escape key application quit. Unfortunately, that doesn't show in editor. And another thing that I added was here. I also added a your mouse button can light the fire instead of just being over the area, because prior it was a random based timer, and if your flame was over the area, you would light the logs and they would go on fire. I added a mouse input so that sort of avoids that randomness and potential to spiral a bit. So if you move your match over the area and now you click, you'll win the game as well. But those are the main things that I changed in Nathan's game.
Nathaniel Lawter, and this is Colin's game, Space Runner. So this is how the game plays after some of the changes I've made. It's just a simple game where there's a box that you have to navigate through space, and then you have these red boxes that spawn, and you attempt to navigate around them. and it just procedurally spawns over and over and over, and they'll be set in random locations. And the game only ends when you hit a box. Now, previously, it was not the case that when you would hit a box, it would reset. The game would actually just entirely close out. So I added a level reset when you hit the box, so you could keep trying, and then an optional escape rather than a forced escape on end. The other thing was that the player box moved incredibly slow. It had a scroll speed of only a scroll speed of -2, so I upped that to -10 just to make it feel a bit better. And then some of the colliders were a bit odd. They were bigger than the actual box size. So I changed that. I changed all updates to fixed updates, and I added a coroutine to try and avoid the taxation of update, but I think that this is wrong the way I implement it because it's within update. I tried to use it as its own standalone thing, but I was having some issues. I'm not super familiar with Unity, or code in C++ in general, or C#, I'm sorry. So we'll move over to player controller. Also switch to fixed update because update was not necessary. Change the move speed of the character to match the ratio I increased for the scroll speed, so that feels a bit better on the y-axis to a 5. And added the application quit on escape, and this scene manager load scene, it resets on collision with the obstacle tag. And it's a very simple game, so I didn't see a lot of opportunities. I increased the random range in which the obstacles are reset because previously they were pretty consistently in the center, and they still are a bit. It's just I wanted it to force the player to have to use their controls at all, because if it's always in the center, before you could just go to the top and it would never go up here, so you could always make your way through the levels without even moving, which isn't much of a game, so I wanted to make that change. Other than that, it wasn't very code intensive, so there wasn't a lot to work with. I did try and add a timer. I was trying to add a timer where when you would collide, it would actually, you would start with a set amount of points and your timer would go, and it would deplete your points, but every time you were able to successfully, or it would deplete your time, and every time you successfully passed one of these, it had a collider kind of stemming off from it. So when you were able to pass one, it would give you back more time. So you were kind of earning your time back rather than the other way around of, the time just going on and on, you trying to get the longest time. But I had some issues with the two colliders conflicting and the timer counting down. I had it on update, and that's why I started the whole coroutine in the first place, but there were too many issues. So I took that out because I'd rather have something that's simple and optimized than something that I added for the sake of gameplay and it's not optimized. But that is what Space Runner looks like after my changes, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.